welcome to the CNBC TV 18 special. I'm Shireen Bhan. If you're wondering what I'm doing outside of the studio and in a supermarket like this, well, we're here to talk about 25 years of Coca-Cola in India. Why 25? Because remember, they re-entered India in 1993 through a partnership with Parle. The 25 years in India has taught Coca-Cola a lot about the Indian consumer. It hasn't just diversified its portfolio, it's also desified its portfolio. What do the coming years have in store for the company? Well, joining me today is the man who is spearheading Coca-Cola's operations here in India. Thanks very much, for joining us here on CNBC TV 18, and congratulations on completing 25 in India.
Thank you. Pleasure is mine.
As I said, this is the re-entry of Coca-Cola, and that's the 25-year period that we're marking today. But give me a sense of what the journey has taught you so far about the Indian market.
Well, the journey has been a very interesting journey, and I would believe it's been a great learning experience. We have gone through the first phase where we really learned all the key areas we need to concentrate on to make us work in India. The first part of the journey would have seen us only in sparkling products, and we would have seen us mostly in returnable glass bottles. So it was a pretty easy business. We had a few brands of ours which we brought in from our global portfolio, a few local brands which we had acquired from Parle, and we were trying to really establish distribution across the country. That was the first phase of the journey. The second phase of the journey was to really enlarge on this portfolio, which went on for another 5 to 6 years. I think this whole process, we realized that while we were getting traction for our global portfolio, we needed to do more than that to really be successful in India. Okay, so I would imagine that this is now phase 3 of Coca-Cola in India. So what does phase 3 entail for you? The phase 3 of our journey in India would be all about trying to make us a total beverage company, which is very aligned with the Indian consumer. We believe this is going to work on 3 very important pillars. Pillar 1 is to really take our core portfolio and make it more pervasive in terms of distribution, more pervasive in terms of occasions. The second pillar would be all about creating a local, hyper-local portfolio, which is very aligned to the Indian consumer, and we are working pretty hard on that. The third pillar, we believe, is how do we really get an intersection with a very important pillar of the Indian economy, which is, in our case, the fruit farmer. So we want to really create a circular economy around that, which will see us not only create a great commercial portfolio, but do our small bit in terms of creating value for the Indian farmer. Okay, let me pick up on each of these one by one, and let's start by talking about which is really the bread and butter of the business, and that's the sparkling side of the business for you. You know, it was a soft period on account of both demonetization as well as GST because of the high tax rate. That, I believe, is now out of the way. What's growth looking like for you on the sparkling side of the business? Growth is looking pretty good and strong. We have, as I really told you, we have created this clear segmented execution for every category, and sparkling is no exception. So we have now products for what we call the affluent India. We have products for the middle class, and we have products for the affordable class. So we have a pretty good portfolio now, and we have, on top of it, also developed some good local flavors, which has helped us to really get back the mojo in sparkling. I'll talk to you about diversification, but I want to focus on the desification first. And since you talked about these, local flavors, and that has been Coke's strategy, not just here in India, but globally as well. What more can we expect in terms of the desification strategy? See, we are, to start with, looking at what are the leading Indian ethnic flavors which people are looking for. And we are very aggressively getting into each of these flavors, and the starting point has been really the Jaljeera flavor. So we had a product called Rimzim, and you can expect a lot more expansion in that phase. Then we have taken the second area we have worked in terms of desification, as you call it, is really the area of juices, where we have brought in a lot of flavors, and very recently we have gone ahead and launched 100% juice with exclusively Indian fruits. In fact, now we have... I can see anar right there. Yeah, Santa and anar. And in fact, I want to really show you a package which is inside. Yeah, I can show you a package where we can even trace it back to some of the farmers who have given us the fruit, where we are doing our work. The third area is we are now generating products which are exclusively made for India. For instance, we are just in the process of testing a product called Aquarius Glucocharge, which is a mixture of actually glucose, which gives energy, rehydration salts and fruit juice.
Okay.
This is exclusively made for India Sea, where people work hard and look for hydration with a plus.
Okay.
And this has been test launched, good response, and we're on the verge of scaling it up.
Okay, you know, just to pick up on the last point that you spoke of this product which is specifically made for India, I understand that you're operating a little bit like an incubator, like a test hub, a laboratory almost, so to speak. What is cooking up in the laboratory at this point in time from the Indian consumer's palate perspective?
See, we are having multiple projects in this, and the more important thing is I will take you to the process that we use for this incubator. This is something which we have designed, which can get products into the market in just about 12 weeks. So the moment we identify a trend ourselves through consumer research or through competition launching, we are able to go back to R&D and develop what we call version 1 of the product pretty quickly.
Okay.
Then we commercialize it, get it produced, put it into the market, while we simultaneously do some desk research with the consumer. And then we also keep checking with what the consumer is doing in the marketplace.
Okay.
So we can get into version 2 and 3 pretty fast, and we would have a fully tested commercial product in the marketplace pretty soon.
Wow, 12 weeks, that's pretty, I mean, I'm amazed to hear that number. Is that the norm that you've been working with, or is this something that you've managed to sort of do recently?
So we sort of got the system in place around August, September of 2018.
Okay.
We believe that it is the need of the day.
Recent.
It's fairly recent.
Okay.
We believe it's the need of the day.
Okay.
Because we believe our core business is good, but it will go at a certain pace. But if we have to accelerate and create this portfolio and be there when the consumer wants, we wanted something which is faster, and that's how we engineered this.
So Coca-Cola India is operating a little bit like a startup.
Yeah, one part of Coca-Cola India is trying to act like a startup.
Okay. What are the lessons that you're picking up from the market at this point in time in terms of consumer preferences, in terms of staying ahead of the curve? What trends are you trying to capitalize on? See,
we are seeing a lot more of functionality coming into play in terms of consumer trends. People want products which can give them some hydration, beyond hydration, some salts which go in with it. We are looking at trends where people are looking at juice plus products, where they want some nutrition added to the juice.
Right.
And so we are picking up a lot of trends which tells us that while we should strongly go on the indulgence space, we also go into the functionality space.
So, you know, one of course is innovating as far as the category itself is concerned. What about price innovation, especially when we talk about healthy drinks, or the healthier side of the portfolio? How do you make it much more accessible?
See, as I said, we are looking, price is very important also for us.
Yeah.
So you're looking at these 5 categories.
Because I'm looking at what is happening here. So it's what, 79 and 89, and that's the sort of thing for your juice offering.
Right. But we have the same type of offerings at 10 rupees as well.
Yeah.
If you saw in the supermarket, we had an entire range which we have done at 10 rupees. So we are very conscious that we need to have products which are delicious for the people in India who can afford expensive products. At the same time, we should have products which are delicious for the people who cannot afford that much. So we are creating a range of products between 10 and 15 rupees for people who can only afford that sort of pricing.
Okay.
So while we are developing this whole segmented execution, which is 3 Indias and 5 categories, we are conscious that in every category we have to have offerings which are in the 10 to 15 rupee range for the India which can only afford that sort of pricing, and also which are expensive.
So explain to me then, what kind of innovations will you need to focus on in order for you to be able to deliver on that price point across these categories?
See, we have to really focus first on the right packaging so that we give still a delicious product, the type of ingredients that make sense for those sort of consumers. And number 3, we also work our supply chain and business model in such a way that we have a very low cost model which takes it up to the consumer. So it's a threefold approach: supply chain, product concept, and also the real business model or supply chain model which takes it up to the consumer.
Okay.
So that's what helps us to really get the pricing at 10 rupees.
Okay, and I can see here, which is what you were trying to explain to us. So that sums up at 20, that sums up at 38, at 60 and 90.
Absolutely.
And since we're talking about sums up, let me try and pull out one of these. This was what really set you in a sense back in the groove in India through the Parle partnership when you re-entered in 1993. Has it touched $1 billion?
Yeah, it's hovering close to it. It's been one of the key pillars on which our business was built in India.
Yeah.
Thumbs Up gave us a lot of rock-solid presence in the marketplace, while we built other brands as well.
Yeah.
So it is definitely going to be the
Which
first.
has been unique to the strategy in India, right? Where you actually marketed a competitor, Thumbs Up, and at the same time sold Coke as well.
Basically, we strongly believe that we need to have a local homegrown portfolio along with our global brands, because it always gives us more solidity in the marketplace. And which is a strategy we continue even today, because we've developed quite a bit of our activity around acquired brands. The case in point is Maaza.
Yeah.
If you look at it, it is an indulgent mango drink, as everyone in India knows. But this year we launched something at 10 rupees.
Okay, this is 10 rupees.
For people who cannot afford to pay 25 or 30 rupees.
Okay.
And this has been again some development around a homegrown brand.
Okay.
Similarly, in Thumbs Up, we launched Thumbs Up Charged, which is actually a slightly more evolved product from Thumbs Up,
yeah,
which is for the more affluent people.
Yeah.
So we have been constantly working around the homegrown brand.
You know, just before I finish the conversation on Thumbs Up, you've had a $1 billion aspiration for it for a while now. So do you believe that 2019 is going to be the year? Or?
I think we are reasonably confident we would be getting to our aspiration in next.
For sure. Okay. You know, since you're talking about homegrown brands, what about acquisitions in India? I mean, I know that when I spoke with James Quincy, he did say that you are open to investing in local entrepreneurship. That was the statement that he made. What can we expect then by way of the acquisition strategy here in India?
See, for me, the organic opportunity in India is awesome. So I believe that we have not even exploited even a microscopic fraction of this organic opportunity.
Okay.
Now, let us be realistic. We do really look at options, but we are not going to get distracted by these options, because we believe the organic opportunity is so huge that we can really thrive on it for quite some time.
Okay. So what does that mean? That means that you are out in the market looking for products that could fill any particular gaps in the portfolio in your aspiration to be a total beverages company? I mean, there's a lot of exciting stuff that's happening in the non-aerated side in India with local brands. Anything that's caught your fancy?
See, at this point of time, the trends have caught our fancy.
Okay.
And so we are really quickly trying to use our incubator and getting back into this market.
What about dairy? Because, you know, there's been a lot of sort of talk around what's happening on the dairy side, and you've also forayed into it through VO. It didn't go off as per your plans. What's the expectation there?
In fact, we have relaunched VO.
Yeah.
And I'll show you something here which is a new launch, which is really in the space of dairy, which is doing pretty well.
Okay.
This is Minute Maid smoothies.
Okay.
This is a mixture of dairy and juice.
All right. So more value-added dairy, can we expect that?
Exactly.
In 2019?
Exactly. Yes.
And through the Minute Maid route or through VO and other?
We will have both. We are going to have Minute Maid route where we are using juice along with dairy. We will use VO where we go for classical dairy products. In fact, just as we speak, we have launched in key accounts actually 2 flavors of Minute Maid. It's called Nutri Shake. It has 25% more protein than flavored milk. Okay. And it is in 2 flavors basically. We have launched vanilla and a product called Banana Boom. Okay. And we have had good response for it. Okay.
You know, let me also talk about the integration between the front end and the back end. And I want to focus on what you're being able to do in order to drive efficiency, because that at the end of the day will impact cost for the consumer. So what's happening on the farm side and the backward integration side?
See, there are 2 parts. I want to segregate the farms from the actual back end.
Yeah.
See, we are very conscious that the back end plays a big role in getting the right cost structure and hence the right price. So we are developing multiple business models where we have really the cost efficiency to offer affordable products to the consumer. So I explained to you how we do our incubator with a set of toll packers and distributors, where the model is pretty low cost and we can compete with any small player with that sort of cost. At the same time, in the case of the farm sector, we have moved in. We had actually worked with the mango farmers, and developed pretty good yields for them in the south.
Okay.
And then we have signed up with the government of Maharashtra for doing the same with oranges in Maharashtra. And latest we have signed with farmers in Uttarakhand to help them with apple yields.
Okay.
So that's a high gestation period business.
Okay.
It's going to take a few years for that to come up.
Right.
But we are not waiting. So we are now sourcing product from there, and we are offering to the Indian consumer, which is 100% Indian grown fruit.
So since you're talking about being able to actually benefit the farmer by way of yields moving higher, what's the, can you give me some sense of where yields have gone ever since you started working with them?
I think the only fruit where I can really say confidently, because we have spent 5-6 years, this high gestation period, is in the space of mangoes. Wherever we have got involved with the farmer and helped them, along with our partner Jain Irrigation, we have seen the mango yields go 2 times to what they were really sourcing before we worked with them on the project.
Let me ask you about the investment for India. $5 billion was outlined for India by 2020. How much of that has already been utilized?
So we're pretty much on track. We said we will do that by 2019.
Yeah.
So we are on track to do that. I think the next phase we had promised an investment of around $1.7 billion in this fruit-based economy, where we said part of it will go through capital the farmers and part of it will go in procurement. That's pretty much on track. So
in terms of being able to add capacity, do you feel the need at this point in time?
We are planning very closely based on market demand, and we are adding capacity consistently. We have been one of the systems which has added capacity almost every year for the last 25 years of our existence.
What is the big challenge that you foresee in a market like India today?
See, the big challenge we foresee is India as a market, as you know, is a very diversified market. We have multiple ethnicity. We are talking about so many states where different ethnic groups are there. So what will be our biggest challenge is the speed with which we can accelerate this creation of the consumer-centric portfolio.
You spoke to me about the Make in India products for India specifically, but what about products that have been tested here in India that might do well in other similar kinds of markets? Make in India for the world, is that experiment on?
Yeah, that's the fourth. Correct. That's the fourth pillar which I was going to come to at the end, because we believe we are doing a lot of work which can be taken outside India. How soon can we expect to see this Make in India for the world take off? No, it started. We've now moved thumbs up charge outside the country. As we speak, we are working on taking Aquarius glucose charge outside the country. We are looking at Minute Maid smoothies going outside the country. So we are looking at quite a few being taken outside India. Okay. Let me ask you about the competitive landscape now. And of course, the legendary CocaCola Pepsi battle. How do you view competition today and what they're doing? See, I've been in this journey for more than 15 years. And I have never viewed this Coke-Pepsi battle as real. This is something which everybody hypes up. For me, I am very focused on the consumer. I respect every single competitor of ours because you learn from competition. Competition helps you to grow the business. Who's ahead in market share today? See, we are the leaders in terms of both the NARTD market share as well as the individual categories. But at the same time, I am very respectful of competition because you learn something from them every day. So what have you learned from them recently? There are a lot of trends. Like I picked up the trend on glucose from a competitor. Okay. Because they had launched the product and then we learned from it. So we keep picking up these sort of trends from others. Sometimes we pick it up ourselves, sometimes we pick it up from competition. So it's good to have a good ecosystem of competitors. One of the things that competition is also focusing on is how do you make yourselves not just a diversified but also a healthier portfolio in that sense, and that's been the attempt for Coke also. What concerns you about the way that you're seeing the aerated side of the business growing? See, as far as I am concerned, I believe health is something which is a very broad word. Yeah. So I think our responsibility is going to be give a portfolio which is pretty large, where you start on one side with absolute indulgence going all the way to absolute functionality. With a portfolio like that, we believe we can be relevant. Because my dream and the dream of the Coca-Cola system is how can we be relevant to every one of the 1.3 billion Indian consumers. And creating this portfolio will help.
On sugar, because of course that is the global ask as well, and globally regulators are forcing companies like yours to cut down on sugar, and that's a commitment that Coke made to reduce sugar across 500 bans in 2017. So what's been the outcome of that commitment so far?
So we are working all over the world, and India also we are working. Our idea is to really get into this norm by 2025 in India. And all our new products which we formulate, we really are closer to the norm.
Okay. So which means what? I mean, give me a sense of how much you've been able to cut down on sugar.
See, we cut down in percentages. Some years it goes down by 10%, some years it goes down by higher than that. But the idea is to hit the global norm by 2025.
By 2025. What excites you most about what you're seeing here in the market today?
What excites me quite a lot is the fact that today the Indian consumer is crying for more. Is crying for more choice.
Which means, are we likely to see more of the international offering being blended into the mix here?
We will have both. As I said, we're going to have three parts of the portfolio. One would be global. The second would be locally grown brands which are expanded, and the third would be hyper-local, local creations which are made just for India.
But on the first, how soon can we expect more of the international offerings to make it to India?
I can tell you that we are planning to launch Powerade in the next quarter, which is our global sports drink. In fact, it is available in that first outlet already.
Okay.
So we have done the first runs.
Okay.
So that's the soonest launch you can expect from the global portfolio.
And building out the pipeline in 2019, or will you take it slow?
So we would take it across the country in 2019. We want to ensure that by 2021, we have the first cut portfolio for every part of those 15 elements of the matrix of India ABC and 5 categories.
Okay.
In fact, we have a perfect fruit. You may want to taste it. It's actually the ultimate indulgence, but made out of almost 99.5% fruit.
Okay. So this is part of the new offering.
This is the part of the new offering. It will come under the Minute Maid franchise.
Okay.
We have done the beta. Now we are all set to roll out in the first quarter. So this will get linked with our fruit circular economy, where it will be locally sourced fruit, processed, and a product which is 99% plus of fruit.
I wanted to talk to you about this because this dispenser that we see here, one of the challenges that you faced when you re-entered the Indian market in 1993 was how do you get Coke to taste like Coke, because it wasn't cold anymore and you had to do a lot as far as the logistics and the back end and the distribution was concerned. How much of that continues to be a challenge today?
We've made serious progress. See, in our 25-year journey, we have invested in about 10 lakh of coolers across the country. So in most parts of the country, you would get a chilled Coke. We have also invested in many thousands of equipment which can serve you a chilled Coke in a glass, fountain equipment. And so we have made serious progress from 1993 to now. And we'll continue to keep investing. In fact, down this set of shops, we have now created a machine called the Splash Bar, which for the people who need an affordable serving can get a Coke glass at 10 rupees.
Speaking of India, one of the issues that has been a concern and a challenge for companies like yours has been sustainability. There have been issues with respect to water. How conscious and mindful are you now going to be as you start the journey to the next 25 and beyond that? And what are the specific measures that you've been able to put in place to address some of those concerns?
In fact, we have always been conscious, and we have accelerated it in our second phase. From the second phase onwards, we have started working in the space of water, and today we replenish more than 135 to 140% of water that we use. We have been always conscious of plastic, so we are working on this world without waste, where we are trying to ensure that by 2030 we will recycle every bit of product that we put out in the market. We have always been conscious on energy.
But what's happening in India specifically on the recycling effort?
In fact, we have done the first pilot in Maharashtra, and it is working very well, and we believe we will be able to scale up in the next couple of years. Then coming into energy, we have been very conscious of it, and most of our bottlers now have a significant percentage of the total energy that they consume in renewable sources of energy.
So back to double-digit growth here in India?
Yeah, we have been having good double-digit growth for the last 5 quarters, and hopefully we will be able to continue.
So what's the aspiration over the next 5 years in terms of numbers?
I think I'm not going to reset the aspiration. James had set it for us with you. We will first step, we would want to become the 5th largest country in the Coke system by volume. And number 2 is, I think, more aspirational, is to really ensure that we have something to be offered to every one of the 1.3 billion Indians.
Well, we wish you the very best of luck, and we do hope that the journey continues towards not just diversification but also basification. Thanks very much for joining us on CNBC TV 18. It's been a pleasure, and we appreciate your time.
Thank you so much. Appreciate all your support and encouragement. Thank you.
Well, with that, it is time for us to wrap up this CNBC TV 18 special. From all of us here, for now, goodbye and many thanks for watching.